Hello. It is what day is it? We're Thursday. I'm Nancy Sheed of Sheed Communications, and I am thrilled and excited to have Patrick Powers of Powers Digital here to chat with me today about SEO and search engine and kind of Google Analytics and what's been going on over this past month with regard to the sort of unprecedented and uncertain times. So Patrick and I have worked together. We have figured out what three-ish years.
Yeah,
and on several clients. And we, over the past month, we've been sort of seeing some interesting things with regard to our clients. And I just thought it would be fun to have Patrick on to sort of chat more about that, what he's seeing, and kind of what people, what you can be doing about your website, your content, and how to translate your analytics. Translate the information you're getting from your analytics and what you can do. So Patrick, thank you for being here. First, tell us a little bit about your firm so everybody knows what Powers Digital is and does.
Sure. So Powers Digital is a digital consultancy that specializes in search and analytics. I've been in digital strategy for maybe almost 15 years now. Back when IT and marketing were fighting about websites and who was going to do it. I always sat on the marketing side of the house, foolishly raised my hand. 15 years later, here I am. So I work out of St. Louis, Missouri. I'm based out of my home, so moving to a home office wasn't much of a step for me.
It was like, this way,
the one caveat is I did pick up coworkers. My wife and my kids are now home, so they have yet to see any billable hours, but they're on the payroll, right?
Well, I hope you're all. I'm glad to see you, and I hear that everybody is safe and well.
Yeah, thanks. So where do you want to start?
Well, I think the reason for this was hearing you. Say sort of similar things now that we've looked back, and Patrick and I will typically have monthly reports with a handful of our clients, and obviously there was just a serious line of demarcation when we started looking at website traffic and search traffic. Basically, a month from, I don't know if you call it today, whether it was March 13th, March 15th, March 16th, but it was basically a month ago. And then suddenly most traffic patterns look very, very different. So if you could talk about that and, sort of, and maybe you have a sense of what the industry is versus, I think you and I were seeing something a little bit different.
Sure. So you're absolutely right. And I generally set that point of demarcation about March 12th.
Okay.
It's really when, it may have been a day or two before your stay-at-home order came, but it really was when this national story kind of exploded and search traffic patterns were really altered, from that point on. March 12th was a Thursday, so that Friday and that whole weekend,
right,
really traffic changed dramatically. And so for some clients, what I saw was, a dramatic drop off in traffic, right? And more often than not, that was people who were offering services or goods or services that didn't have a short-term impact, right? I don't need what you are offering today or tomorrow or even in the next month. It's a longer purchase process. And that traffic just fell to next to nothing for a lot of people. I do see some of that coming back. I think there was a precipitous drop. Yeah, I do start to see some of that coming back. And really, it's just been in the past, couple of days, the past week or so, that things have started to climb a little bit. Now some clients, that were offering, things or services or goods that would be needed or that were highly topical, people who are dealing with stress in their lives or answers to solutions or how to be resilient or how to, educate people in a remote environment. I saw the traffic dip, but I didn't see it take that precipitous dive that I saw for some clients. It's certainly been a change for sure. And the language that people are using has changed and shifted a little bit.
And I think, exactly that other piece, and you pointed this out, which is obvious, but to state the obvious was, if you weren't CNN or you weren't any of the news channels, they actually saw the complete opposite, right? But those of us those of us that have kind of been going along to our merry way, and or in particular to, you know, as you mentioned, the people I work with, they saw they saw a drop off, but you know what we've been saying is, all right, now what can we do? What, you know, and what can you do right now versus
Right.
what can you do a little bit longer term? So if you could talk about that in terms of everybody, there's a lot of unknowns, but what would you say sort of short term versus long term, your expectations?
Yeah.
And I think particularly for people who are in that content being moderately advice driven, you know,
Sure.
newsy driven.
Yeah, the first thing is to understand how and what people are searching today. So there's a lot of language around the current crisis, right? Whether it's called coronavirus, COVID, pandemic, you know, there's a lot of language being thrown around there. The search traffic that I'm seeing is predominantly around coronavirus. So if you were to rank the term coronavirus versus COVID-19 or any variation of COVID versus pandemic, generally they fall in that order. There's so much more search traffic for coronavirus. And a lot of it is understanding what it is, how it impacts you. And so as organizations start to draft that content of what does life look like after this crisis, you know, I tell them the people are searching for that term coronavirus. So what does life look like after coronavirus for our business or our organization? What services can we offer? What impact does coronavirus have, as opposed to leaning into COVID or pandemic?
But you know, that's interesting compared to what you and I just talked about beforehand versus the algorithms and the socials are sometimes not rewarding using any of those terms, right? Because they're hot topics and can be politicized. So that's interesting that that's a different strategy with, if I were to put this video on my website, I might actually put a title that says how SEO has changed or been affected by coronavirus, right? But
yeah, and I think what you're going to start to see is some of that longer tail search content be rewarded, right? You are not going to rank #1 or anywhere close if you try to explain what coronavirus is.
Right.
The CDC's got it locked down. Who's got it locked down? However, if you work in education, the legal field, the banking industry, applying those terms to your specific situation and your organization, I think will be beneficial in the long run as people start to think about reopening businesses or getting back to some semblance of normalcy. Tying those to you for a longer term keyword benefit would be good.
Got it.
The other thing I'll just say real quick, though, is, you know, now I think there is an opportunity to revisit the content that you have on your site and to build kind of those foundational underpinnings. Because while SEO is a little bit wonky these past 3 or 4 weeks, I do see those that are starting to climb out are the ones that have strong foundational SEO best practices in place. And whether that's strong title tags, clear meta descriptions, well-optimized copy across their site, you know, those are the sites that are going to bounce back quicker than others.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great sort of PSA for good SEO practice. But I think there are people who have, I think that's great advice for people who said, I just don't feel like putting anything out right this minute. That's something that they could be doing. Do you know what I mean?
Yep.
Just to go through and clean up their site or fix some of the things that have been paralyzing them. And you know, I would never say don't put out content, but there's some people that they don't feel like it's right to be putting anything out right this minute.
Right, and I don't think you have to put anything out that's crass or that you're trying to capitalize on this. But if you are just doing the strong foundational work of creating good content, I still think that there's a place for that.
Yeah,
because I think you're right to identify that some people have pulled back and say we're not going to publish anything, we're not going to say anything, we're not going to do anything.
Right.
That does create opportunities for those people that want to generate content in that space or create content of value.
Right.
And I think, you know, you and I have talked about this before. It always comes back to, if you're going to create something, it better be good and it better be valuable to someone.
Right.
And good SEO is no different.
That is an awesome note to leave on. It needs to be a value. That's what SEO is all about. Well, thank you, Patrick, for being a value. I really appreciate your time today, and we'll do this again soon.
Thanks, Nance.
Thanks. Bye.